In today's video, I'm going to show you the haul of dollar books that I picked up for 50 cents during a half price sale hosted by a local shop. Check it out. Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name's Chris, and this is Northgarden Comics. Today's haul comes to you from a local shop here in Minneapolis called Dreamhaven Books. They are more of a bookstore, and then a comic book store is just one element of what they sell, or comic books is just one element of what they sell. They've got a whole selection, deep selection, new and old things of science fiction, fantasy, horror, artwork, graphic novels, single issue comics, tons of inventory, and it's the kind of store where there's product literally everywhere, in every aisle. Sometimes you'll be walking down an aisle and there's a box of magazines or graphic novels or something on the floor. So it really gives you the feel that it's like a cave that you're hunting for treasure in, and you could find just about anything in there. It's just a really cool feeling, good vibe of a store. So if you're in the area, I encourage you to check them out. I'll put a link to their website down below so you can see more about the store if you'd like. But today's haul is going to be really just a bunch of the dollar books, or normally dollar books, that I picked up during their sale. So these were all 50 cents a piece. They're all bagless and boardless. And so because of that, I'm really happy that they're in even as good a shape as they are, because if you've gone diving in long boxes with bagless, boardless books, you know how easy it is for those books to get damaged. So very pleased with what I found and for the price that I found them. So let's go ahead and dive in, see what we got. Starting things off here, we got a few issues of Fantastic Four. I'm working on the John Byrne era primarily, which goes from like, what, 232-ish up to 293. And then beyond that, I'll pick up other Fantastic Four things as they're in good condition and for cheap, but that John Byrne run is my focus. And I found a couple issues at the sale. This issue 290, and then this issue 292, so right at the tail end of his run. But then I also picked up this issue 312, which is part of the Fall of the Mutants storyline going on with the X-Men books, and it's got the appearance of X-Factor, so that's just a fun little addition. And at this point, I'm not aiming to get the entire volume of Fantastic Four, and not just because they're really expensive at the low end, but I will continue to build this run out, I'm sure, even when the time comes that I finally complete that John Byrne era, because most of the issues after that you can get pretty inexpensively. So I like to pick those up when they're 25 cents, 50 cents, even $1 a piece, and work out the high end of that run. As far as the lower end, just like a lot of different titles, I will always keep my eyes peeled for Bronze Age books that are at least in modest condition and are inexpensive, because those would be the ones that I'd pick up. But I don't really expect it to go much further than that. It'll get a little bit too spendy, and I'm not that invested in completing this whole volume. But happy with these 3 books that I picked up at the sale. Here's kind of a random Image book that I picked up. The Kindred issue number 4. I think this is the final issue in this 4-part story. Don't know anything about what's going on in the story, but I have been on, I wouldn't say a kick, but I have been trying over the last several months to start building out more of the early Image books, both runs, miniseries, one-shots, things like that. This early era of 90s is still really nostalgic for me. I know it has a whole kind of extreme element to it that kind of is a little over the top, and not everybody loves it, but the late 80s, early 90s was when I was really getting into comic book collecting and reading, and so I just like to reminisce with these books, even the ones that I didn't have as a younger person. I wasn't a kid, but this is one of those series that's just fun to hunt for. So happy to found one more piece. Might have 1 or 2 more issues to go on this one to complete it. Here's another fun theme of book to collect. Not working on West Coast Avengers, but I've always got my eyes open for these Marvel 25th anniversary covers. There's, I don't know how many there are altogether. It's got to be at least a couple dozen. and I have several of them just because they fell into volumes of books that I was working on collecting. But when I can come across these, one-off type of covers like this that are part of this theme, I'll go ahead and grab them. And this West Coast Avengers 14's and it's in decent shape, and it was just 50 cents. So happy to grab that one. Here's another kind of this was just a impulse buy. I wasn't looking for this and didn't even know it existed before I saw it. Clearly not in the best shape. You can see the spine is so bent that it doesn't even really stand up straight. And that doesn't bother me, partly because it was only 50 cents, and partly because I tell myself, you know what, as I evolve in my comic reading and collecting hobby, the day will likely come that I get myself a press, and then I can at least hope to improve that type of condition. I mean, heck, once I put this in a bag and board and squish it into a short box here, I'm sure it'll improve at least a little bit, and at least it'll be held down. But that's one of the things I'll tell myself when, comfort myself with when I buy books like this. I'll learn how to clean, I'll learn how to press eventually, and then it'll give me an opportunity to explore a new aspect of this hobby that I've so far only watched others do. But this particular issue, just liked the issue because I like Popeye. I watched tons of Popeye cartoons as a kid, not new ones. They were all reruns, but he was still on TV when I was a kid, whether it was probably, I don't know if that would have been after school during the week or if it would have been on Saturday mornings, probably after school or early morning. But I was definitely had a full diet of cartoons when I was a kid. Tom and Jerry, Popeye, Looney Tunes, all those kind of good things. But so Popeye's a character that I like, and he definitely has kind of a superhero-y vibe here, a little bit different than what you saw in the traditional cartoon. This is one of two these specials that they did in 1987 and then in 1988. This one's called Popeye Born to the Sea, an origin story, and it's in color, but it's just a fun telling of his origin, going from his birth, and then as a young man joining the Navy. It's got some, was that the page? I kind of like the art. It's a little bit grittier style Popeye. Then he gets into a boxing match here. The most powerful robot fighter ever assembled. So he's going to fight this guy. And he wins, of course. So just a fun pickup at just 50 cents. I guess not surprisingly, there's not a lot of information online about this. I Googled it a lot, and it's just, there's not a lot that's been written about this, but a fun little Popeye pickup from Ocean Comics from 1987. I found a few Spider-Man related issues at the sale. This is Amazing Spider-Man issue 270. Just grabbed it because I like the cover, I like the black costume, and so whenever I come across issues like this, I'm liable to pick them up, especially at 50 cents a piece. I don't think it's a key of any kind, but this cover is like an homage cover to Avengers 96. So that's about the only thing I could tell you about that, but just a cool black costume cover on issue 270. This was a super fun book to find, primarily because of what I discovered inside. And this is the second time this has now happened to me in the last couple of months. This is Spectacular Spider-Man issue 25. It is a minor key first appearance of a character called Carrion. This one is clearly a reader copy. It's pretty beat up. Got some schmutz or gunk here on this guy's head, and it's definitely not in tip-top shape. But the biggest reasons I got it were, first, just because it's a cool Bronze Age book, but then I did flip this one open before I got it home and noticed, you can already see it, yep, another Mark Jewelers insert. So don't know that that's going to bump the value of this particular comic significantly because it's in such rough shape to begin with. But again, when I stumble across those in the wild, it's a really fun thing to grab. And this is only the second time I've found a Mark Jewelers in the wild, and only the second Mark Jewelers copy of any comic book that I own. So I was super happy to find that. And then one more to show you, but let me give you a little prep for this next Spider-Man book. I recently got this. It's an omnibus. This is the first volume of Fantastic Four by John Byrne. And yes, it's double dipping, right? Because I'm working on collecting the single issues, but I have only ever heard such good things about this run that I didn't want to wait to get the whole thing in single issues to read it. So I figured this would be worth kind of that risk of buying it first and not having read it before. And so far, it's been well worth it. They did 2 volumes of omnibus collected editions, which collected all the John Byrne stuff for Fantastic Four. But I got volume 1 earlier this year. I should be getting volume 2 once that comes out here. I don't know, is that in December or is that in February? I don't know, the dates seem to continue to get pushed back, but I'm still working my way through this. But the morning of this sale, I was just starting to read this, and I was going through here, and oop, did I already pass it? Maybe I did. Let me go back here. Sorry. Kind of hard to wrap my hands around the cover, or around the camera as I do this. Okay, that's Marvel Team Up, Spidey Human Torch, issue 61. Ah, is this the one? Yes, this one here. So I had just read this issue that morning, Marvel Team Up, Spider-Man and Ms. Marvel, issue 62. Read that, and then I went to the sale, and wouldn't you know, at the sale, I come across that very single issue. Another pretty beat up reader copy. Look down here, you got creases. It's got a rip here on the front cover, but the price was right at 50 cents. And that was just a fun coincidence that I had just read that story in the omnibus edition. So I figured, why not? I'll go ahead and get a copy of the single issue as well. And it's just a cool looking Bronze Age book. Love the yellow, love Ms. Marvel on the cover there, fighting Super Skrull. So really happy to find that, and it was just fun timing. All right, the rest of the books that I picked up at the sale all come from this volume of Thor. Similar to Fantastic Four, it's a volume where I'm not working on the whole thing. There's just one portion of it that I'm trying to build out. In this case, it's the Walter Simonson era of Thor. His most famous run is the one that went from like issue 337 to like 382, I want to say. And he did a combination where he did all the writing, and then he did the art on most of those. Sal Buscema did some of the art as well. And then I think Walt Simonson may do all, if not very close to all, of the covers during his run as well. So that's one that I'm trying to get, and it's another run that if it comes into a reprint in omnibus form, then I will probably get that as well, just to have that to be able to read in its entirety. But in the meantime, I'll continue to hunt for the single issues as I can find them. And there were several there this day. Some of them are almost duplicates to what I have already. As you can see, for example, this one here, 358, it's a newsstand. I think I already have 358, but I have the direct edition. And this condition is probably lower than what I would normally want to pay for these Thor books. I prefer to find them a little bit nicer than this, but they were only 50 cents. So at some point I gotta say, hey, you know, you gotta expect a certain kind of reader copy type condition when you're only spending 50 cents a book. But they had several. Got 358, 360, 361, jumps ahead to 374, 375, 376, 377. Love the Fin Fang Foom cover on 379. 380. I think that may be the last issue that Walter Simonson had anything to do with the pencils inside. I think after that he just wrote. But then I think this is the final issue in his run, 382. He did the cover and he wrote it, but then he does not do the interior pencils. So they had that issue to kind of put that one bookend on his run for myself. And then here's issue 400. Nothing significant about this, but it is a cool square bound, extra thick issue, and it's a milestone. And Thor is similar to Fantastic Four in that when I can find those other issues outside that main run I'm hunting for, probably gonna pick them up. And I actually know there's an earlier Walt Simonson run. I don't know if he writes it or does the pencils or both. I forget, but it's in the 200s, and I'll probably try to get that one as well. Just love the character, and it's a fun thing to hunt for. I don't see him terribly often, but when I do, I pick them up. Now that's everything for the sale haul, but I thought, you know, I don't show any of my new books anymore, but I got 2 issues recently in my most recent shipment from DCBS that I really like the covers on, and I just thought I would show them to you. So first one here is this copy of Wildcats #1. DC is doing a reboot. I don't know if it's a limited series or if it's a true ongoing series for Wildcats, but I figured I'd show this one, A, because it's a fantastic cover by Art Germ, but also because, going back to what I said earlier, I've been trying to work on some of the earlier Image titles, and Wildcats is one of those. I had the first, 2-3 issues when they first came out and then stopped collecting it, so I've been building out that run, particularly the issues that Jim Lee worked on, whether it was interior pencils or cover art. But since I'm already working on that Wildcats run when it was under Image, I figured I'd go ahead and show you this #1 from the new series. And I'm not going to collect this in any ongoing fashion. I just wanted the Art Germ cover. I'll get just about any Art Germ cover that gets solicited for a new book, within reason. If I have at least a mild interest in the character or the book itself, but if nothing else, it's a great piece of artwork to own. And then the second one that I want to show you is this one here, is Transformers Shattered Glass 2, so the second Shattered Glass series, cover for #4. One of the last things that IDW is publishing with the Transformers name. I think it's got one more issue 5, to go, and then that'll be it. That'll be the end of the IDW era of Transformers, which for the most part have been some of my favorite Transformers stories of all time, particularly in their phases 1 and 2. Phase 3, I just didn't get excited about the whole rebooting of the universe. I thought they had a really good thing going and would have been happier had they just continued with those stories. But being a big Transformers fan, I am still gonna get those issues even if they're not my favorite. And this one I wanted to show you because, again, of the cover. This is a Livio Ramondelli cover, and just love his style when it comes to Transformers, so figured I would show you that one. But with those 2 covers and these back issues, that's gonna wrap up my sale haul from Dreamhaven Books. Well, that's going to do it for me, and that's going to wrap up this 50-cent haul that I brought home during the half-price sale hosted by Dreamhaven Books and Comics. Remember, if you're in the area and want to check them out, there's a link below to their website. I do hope you saw something that you liked today, whether it's one of the runs that I'm working on or maybe even the new books that I picked up. But how about you? How's things been going for you in your own comic adventures? Any runs that you're on the hunt for? Maybe there's something you recently completed, or maybe it's a key that you scored of late. Let us know down below. Now, if you're not quite ready for the YouTube fun to stop, I have hand-selected a couple videos here for you to check out. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.